Good afternoon, Fantastic Beasts. This is Allie Moon Magic Ross here with Mix Alycorn's Daily Tarot for November 13th, 2019. I drew really interesting regular three-card spreads the past 2 days. Both of them had the Magician come up in the situation box, which was exciting and interesting. I think I'm having a magician week. But rather than go into detail about those particular pulls, I'm actually going to go into the full moon magic that I did last night. I first pulled a tarot spread, a 6-card tarot spread, which I have here to share with you, which was created by Lindsay Mack, who does tarot for the Wild Soul. She posted this spread on her Instagram account, Wild Soul Healing, and she's delightful. I just really like her. And I did this tarot spread, and then I did an 8 of Cups spell under the full moon, because that was, 8 of Cups came up for me last week in a way that made me think that might be useful. And what happened next was really interesting. So to back up and start at the beginning a little bit, first of all, as I think most of you already know, I've been in a period of unemployment that started with my walking away from a very stable job that I'd held for a long time. And I have been working really hard to be okay and be confident that that was the right move, even though it was not planned, as I figure out what my next step is. And the reason that I wanted to do 8 of Cups magic around this full moon is because the 8 of Cups involves a walking away from something, but it's the right thing to walk away from. And in modern tarot, Michelle T, who you hear me talk about so much, provides spells that might be useful for multiple stages of dealing with the 8 of Cups, which I thought was really useful and lovely. She has one for if you are in a situation where you still need clarity around what's wrong with something you're holding on to, you need some more help letting go of it, you're still working up the strength to do that. Michelle has a spell for that. Michelle has a spell also for if you have walked away and you're grieving and you just need to take some time to sit with that loss. Those of you who have been following this for a while might remember that I was pulling a lot of cards that suggested I needed to grieve around the time that I made this career transition. So Michelle has a spell for that as well. And finally, the spell Michelle suggested that felt more right for where I am now, which is figuring out what's next and preparing for a future that doesn't include the things that were not good about the thing that you've walked away from. She has a spell for welcoming a new future into your life, and that is the 8 of Cups spell that I did last night under the full moon. For that spell, I constructed an altar outside in my little backyard under the light of the moon. I'll post pictures of it on my Instagram. And I filled 8 cups with water, my 8 smallest cups, because it was a wee little altar, leaving a visible space for whatever the 9th cup may be. I pull 9 of Cups a lot. I actually will be getting to that in a second. 9 of Cups is a card that comes up a lot for me, and that suggests completion, a wonderful moment of being able to enjoy something really beautiful you've built. So you're leaving a space for that ninth cup on your altar. You include the element of water by filling those cups with water, the element of fire by lighting a white or black candle. Mine was in a rainbow candle holder because I'm a unicorn. And then you include a stone. It can be any stone for earth. I used amethyst for just intuition and grace and openness. And finally, a feather for air. And you thank each of these elements for some aspect of what it took to walk away from something that was hard to walk away from and not great for you. And then you include something of yourself on the altar as well. I used a stone that I call my unicorn stone, and two stones that are representative of the entities I receive communications from when I pray. And and so you take a moment with the moon and your altar, and in this case, this week, last night, the very cold, clear air outside, and consider your biggest dreams for your future. Thank the elements, the world, any guides that might help you, and also the strength within yourself for bringing you to a point where you can accept this ninth cup, this whatever is next, this big question mark future of your dreams. So I performed that spell last night, and before doing so, I drew these 6 cards, answering respectively the questions: what am I harvesting this full moon? What am I invited to initiate? What am I invited to clear? What are ways I'm being invited to deepen my connection to the sensual? I believe that Lindsay Mack included that one in this spread because this full moon was in Taurus, which is a very sensual full moon, very grounded in, feet on the ground, and enjoying physical sensations. Where am I being invited to deepen my receptivity and welcome more blessings into my life? And finally, where am I being asked to soften? Which I love that question. I drew the Page of Swords for what am I harvesting this full moon. Page of Swords, some of you might remember, is my card with my long distance partner. And also a card that's representative of this big career move that I made. It means that you do something wild and unplanned, and somehow it's a good idea. I pulled the 9 of Cups for what I am being invited to initiate, which felt especially fortuitous as I was planning this 8 of Cups spell. I'm being invited to initiate just a happy moment to celebrate what I've built, the home I've built, just the love that I've surrounded myself with. What a lovely thing. King of Cups was what I was being invited to clear, which threw me for a minute because I love the King of Cups. I actually have a dear friend, hi Chris, if you're watching, who reminds me of the King of Cups, just a very intuitive figure who's, poetic, compassionate, very invested in service and helping others, and finds a way to be self-assured within that service, rather than submissive in any kind of negative way. So was surprised to see this come up in what I'm being invited to clear. Michelle T reminds us, though, that the King of Cups could show up to invite you to clear any obstacles to compassion that you might be experiencing. And that's the interpretation I think makes most sense here. So that's what I'm going with. I'm being invited to deepen my connection to the sensual through the Six of Pentacles, which is kind of a haves have not card, where you might identify either with the person who has a lot, or with beggars who don't have as much. Either way, it's an invitation to control your material resources rather than letting them control you, to find a good balance between those tensions. Six of Wands was my invitation to welcome more blessings, and the Six of Wands is a sign that you accomplish something and it's time for a victory parade. And I thought, I wonder what that's about. And then finally, where I was asked to soften is through the Knight of Cups, a very glamorous, romantic, fiery card, being urged to ease up on dopamine boosts and take time with friends.